your Listen Local station, right here on the Northern Beaches of Sydney. You can find us on your radio dial at 88.7 and 90.3 FM. Can't get to a radio? No worries. You can always stream our program live from anywhere in the world at rnb.org.au. And for listening on your own schedule, our podcasts are available globally at rnbpodcast.com.au. So be sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Now, here is our latest podcast.
Welcome to Radio Northern Beaches and Spin the Globe with your host, Caryn Shipp. I have in studio today has done it all. She's a talented entrepreneur, a great cook, a mother of 4 children, and runs a successful beauty salon in the Northern Beaches. So stay tuned as we chat with the incredible Nidhal about her journey, passions and life down under. One thing about Nidhal is she was born in Yemen and raised in London and has come to the beautiful shores of Australia, been living here for many years. She's had an exciting career journey spanning through fashion, IT and beyond. And on top of that, she's an amazing cook. She made a big move to from London to Australia with her husband and twins, settling on the Northern Beaches, the beautiful Northern Beaches, that is. A proud owner of a thriving beauty salon, helping people look and feel their best every day. Now live in studio, a warm welcome to Radio Northern Beaches, Nidhal Robb.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for being my guest today on the program.
You're most welcome.
So, as we said, you're originally from Yemen, but moved to the UK when you're 8 years old. What do you remember of Yemen and the culture, the colour?
It was a very vibrant country with lots and lots of people that were warm, friendly. I remember the call to prayer 5 times a day. That was quite soothing, peaceful, purposeful, I think. You felt that you had to do better when you heard that in the morning.
Yeah, well, you're only young in those days.
I was only young, very young, but it was a very, very commanding voice of the call to prayer. Yeah. Which was soothing. I found it really soothing as a child.
And your whole family joined in. Did you go to somewhere to do that?
We didn't go to the mosque. The mosque was very, very close.
Yes.
I remember going past the mosque every morning to go to school as a young child. But yes, no, my father prayed every morning. Mum was on and off. But yeah, my mum and dad were quite devout Muslims.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. Did your family follow the culture in your new country? So you travelled to London, you're 8 years old. Did you bring that culture with you?
I guess yes. Well, more not the culture as such, but certainly the religious aspect of it. Both I was lucky enough to have parents from Yemen and from India. My father was originally from Rajasthan. Okay. So he had more of the Indian culture and my mum had more of the Arabic culture. So I was exposed to both cultures with the food and the music and everything else. But so I was lucky enough to have had that. When we moved to the UK, just moved with my father, my mother stayed behind. When we moved over, I moved with my siblings, and I had 3 older sisters and a brother. And they certainly followed the culture, but more to the religious aspect, I think, than the culture, because, as you can imagine, Britain was very different from Yemen.
Of course it would be. Yeah. That would be a real culture shock, I would say, or an awakening for a young girl, awakening of your spirit, coming to London and just being around different ways.
Absolutely, and not speaking the language. I couldn't speak a word of English when I first went there. So,
but did you like London when you first arrived? Did you
no, it was very alien. It was a very alien place for me as a child, and there was. People that look different for a start.
Of course, the way they're dressed,
and the way they work. The way they work. And for me, it was being so young, I was scared leaving my mother, but at the same time, I thought, well, I've got to get on here.
Yeah.
I've got to just understand what's going on because there's nothing else. Whereas I think my family, my siblings being older than me, held on to the belief of the culture. So they held on to the religion, which Islam as a religion is a way of life.
Of course it is,
So they really sort of held on to that as much as they could.
Whereas you found yourself trying to get on with...
Well, I was much younger than them. And so when I went to school, I was able to have friends and, and just enjoy life. And I was so quick to understand the language because I wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah, of course.
So I became quite fluent very quickly in the language. And I actually I didn't sound... as a foreigner, I feel like I didn't sound Indian. I didn't have an accent.
Yes.
So
you were young enough to speak.
To listen and take it on. And I was quite Cockney when I was actually, in London. So I guess my voice has become refined over time. So it becomes more acceptable to speak, I guess.
It's not, well, perhaps in your own mind, but you've got a beautiful, cultured.
Thank you.
Voice.
Thank you.
Did you find that brought out the rebelliousness about the old ways?
Well, in me, I guess, I really didn't quite understand. I asked a lot of questions about God and why that we had to live a certain way. Why did we have to sort of exclude ourselves, if you like, from the outside world, because the outside world was very different. But I couldn't understand why I had to exclude myself. I didn't understand why I had to dress differently.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why I had to believe in something that wasn't real. I've always questioned it, even as a child.
Yeah. So getting involved with the outside world, I think that was probably your primary mission as a child. You had to connect with people that you went to school with to be able to fit in.
Yes.
Right? So living in Hackney, London, you told me it was Hackney, right?
Yes.
It has a funny sound to it. Describe your memories of East London.
Well, it was the whole world is in Hackney, if you like. Everywhere you go in Hackney, you will have, the Indians, the Turks, the Jamaicans, the Africans, the Pakistanis. You have the whole world right there.
Right there.
And it's very colourful, very vibrant. You just have to, even today, go to Ridley Road Market, and you just see it all there. It's a very, very interesting place.
Yeah. You talk about the huge shift from Yemen. Did you have to deal with any prejudices, do you think? Did you just fit in with the mix of cultures?
Well, the first thing that struck me when I first went to school, and that was in Finsbury Park, and I went to a little school there, and the first couple of days I was there, I got called Packy.
Oh, terrible.
And I couldn't understand what Packy meant, which is quite funny, actually, at the time. So I got called Packy, and I went and asked my dad. I said, what does Packy mean? And he said, don't tell it. So I just tell them, you're not from Pakistan, you're from Yemen. As if children will understand that.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So I guess, but I learned to fight very quickly because I got, kicked and stamped and pulled by hair and everything else. And, people picked on you because you didn't understand what was going on. I couldn't even write my name my first day at school.
Yeah.
So I got picked on. But I quickly learned how to defend myself.
Yeah. And did you stick to that school, or did you have...
No, we had to move because when we first arrived in London, we lived in a one-bedroom flat, actually. It wasn't even a flat.
What, 4 of you, 5 of you?
So there was four girls,
oh, wow.
4 girls and my father.
Wow.
We had to live in... He only was a lodger at the time, living in one room in Finsbury Park, and we had just descended on him. So we lived like that for 8 months in one room.
Oh.
So I went to that little school in Finsbury Park. Then from there, my father was actually quite good. He reinvented himself as an engineer working for London Transport in London on the buses. And so then from there, we managed to get a council flat. The council flat was only a 2-bedroom council flat. And that was near. I'm trying to think the area. Actually, it was near Lee Bridge in London. We had the Hackney Gazette there, just the back of us there. I remember that. The Hackney Gazette newspaper. We lived there, and that was really bleak. Actually, it was not the greatest place to live. There was a lot of low socioeconomic, area, and that was tough. So then I went to school there. That was another place where you had to fight your way through life, if you could fight the biggest person there and win, you were a hero. Wow. So you had to do that.
You mentioned you changed schools a few times. How many times?
Changed 5 schools, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 schools.
Was that the whole of your schooling, from primary to secondary?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but that's through moving. So it was just, it was the circumstances.
Hard to make friends when you do that.
Hard to make friends, but also you become great at doing it. You become better.
Yeah.
Each time at making friends.
We did have a chat earlier, and apart from the 5 school changes, you ended up in a children's home at one stage. How old were you?
I was 14.
Wow.
I decided from a very young age that I couldn't quite live under the rule of God, if you like. There was a lot of rules around living at home. You couldn't wear certain things. You couldn't look a certain way. You couldn't go at any places that you wanted to go. And I just wanted to be with my friends. And I had lots of friends. I made friends easily. So as a result of it, I wanted to look different. I didn't want to look the same. I couldn't understand why you had to cover yourself up and go out. I didn't see any rhyme or reason for doing that.
Yeah, it was kind of split between the old culture and the new life.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that. And so you survived your childhood.
Yeah.
You went to an institution when you were older.
So I went to 3 different children's homes at the time because I refused to go back home. So I ran away from home.
Yeah.
And then I was found by the London CID, Stoke Newington. They were great, as much as I, you fear the CIDs and you fear the cops of London, and at times you really should.
Yes.
But when I was found, it was quite interesting. These 2 policemen, these 2 CID guys, asked me that I, did everything in their power to try and get me to go back home and live at home, because it was a safe place for a young girl to be back home, not in a children's home in London, certainly not. And I just remember digging my heels in and saying, no, I'm not going back home. You can do whatever you want, because I'll be doing this again. I will be running away again.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, she's a feisty one, isn't she? I do remember that. And so then I ended up going, because I refused to go home, they put me in a children's home, and I went through 3 different children's homes until finally, because I was 14, and then finally when you get to a certain age, they put you into an independent unit. And that was in Stoke Newington as well. So I lived in an independent unit, and if you can show that you could, do your shopping and cook for yourself and, go to school and do all that sort of thing, then eventually you will be housed in a place of your own, and you can continue life as you wish.
Wow. So you got to be housed?
So I got into a council flat in London eventually when I was 17. And it was with my ex-husband at the time, because he came through various different institutions as well. He was actually in a children's home from a lot younger age than I was, and then we met in this independent unit, And then so we ended up flatting together in London, which was fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun at the time.
So you weren't on your own the whole time?
No, I wasn't on my own, no. There was, as I said, I've always had friends around me. I seem to make friends quite easily, so I guess I'm lucky in that way.
Yeah. So you survived your childhood, life at an institution, transitioned to a council flat in London. What interest did you follow once you left school? What direction did you take with work, say?
Well, school was freedom for me. although I had some fantastic teachers that were really inspirational, I never really sat and worked at school. I wanted to party, really, more so than anything else. So I couldn't leave school, but what I could do was join an organisation or what they call transition from school to work. Yeah. So I got into a youth training scheme. And from there, we were always interested, all my girlfriends and everyone, were always interested in the way we looked and the way we dressed and, and stuff like that, as you did in the, 17. And so I got into a youth training scheme, and that was for fashion design. Ooh. So we wanted to, I wanted to, with a girlfriend of mine, actually, who I met at the course, we wanted to become fashion designers. That was the thing to do. Wow. So we did. We went to college, and we learned how to cut up patterns, but we used to muck around as well. And then I ended up working, while you're actually studying, you get to be put in various different placements so you understand work. So I got to work for an underwear company in Oxford Street, that was a real eye-opener, because you had models that came in and they would, have all these wonderful undies and G-strings and bras. And
we're talking lingerie, not just underwear.
No, we're talking lingerie. Yeah. And I was coming from a Muslim background. I couldn't believe how people could just whip their clothes and just walk around,
Yes.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's it. That totally exposed you to the other side.
Exactly.
Oh, dear.
Exactly.
And where did that lead you to, the fashion design?
So I worked with Warehouse. They were doing Warehouse at the time, and there was Jeff Banks involved as well. So he's a fashion designer in London, and so he was designing a lot of clothes for Warehouse. And the scheme took you for various different places. So then I ended up working for in a place called in Fleet Street. Actually, there was a startup program for young girls who wanted to set up their own company, if you like. Nice. So I was fortunate enough to sort of join that with another group of girls and understand, the buying concept and running a business concept and stuff like that. But I do remember one significant moment working in Fleet Street, and that was during the miners' strike. And we had this one of the shops that was, again, just a startup, what you would call a pop-up shop now. Yeah. And you had the miners' strike going past you in Fleet Street, and I remember that was such a significant time in England, the miners' strike, because it was Mrs. Thatcher trying to destroy the unions. But I remember just being there going, wow, this is incredible, with the people going past, so passionate about what was happening at the time. Yeah,
that's right. They were the sign of the times, really. Yeah. Because before then, people didn't rebel against work, or if they did, it was never so public.
Yes, whereas Arthur Scargill led these people through against Mrs. Thatcher, and I think he gave her a hard time.
Look, you're listening to Radio Northern Beaches with Caryn Shipp and my wonderful guest, Nidhal Robb. Nidhal's been sharing her life. We've just been from Yemen to London, and she's now coming of age, so we're getting into the interesting bit. What was it about London that stood out as a good influence that shaped your life?
Well, I guess London, I would say, would be the capital of opportunities. People go to London for many different reasons, but there's opportunities there everywhere, and you've just got to, find your place in London, if you like. I was very fortunate enough to, go from various different fashion institutions. So I went from Warehouse, if you like, working in Warehouse, going to Oxford Street. From there, I decided to sort of swap and do beauty, and I was able to work in Selfridges, selling makeup and perfumes. I worked in Harrods. I worked in Harvey Nichols and Liberty's. Liberty's was always my favourite place because it's such a beautiful building. Yes. And Harrods was the same, the building and the history and the concept of it.
Yeah, Harrods has got the name. I don't know, I've heard of Liberty's, but unless you've been to London, I guess you don't know all the
Yeah, Liberty's an old Tudor building. It's beautiful. Yeah, I highly recommend everyone to go and have a look, because it's become now more of a tourist spot anyway. But yeah, so London was, when I was in London, and I still do, when you are brought up in London, it just never leaves you. Somebody said that to me recently, an old lady that I spoke to. London never leaves you. And I certainly understood what she was talking about. It always stays with you. The people there that you meet, they are very happy. Many people that you meet in the street in London, I find that they are quite polite, and they always say sorry, they bump into you. But everyone and everybody from all different walks of life go to London and seem to want to make it there. Yeah, they work hard. They study. Education is a big thing, because for a while education was free there. So there was a lot of influences in my life in London, I'd say.
And also, you were mentioning when we chatted about the Jamaican influence.
Living in Hackney all through my life, there was a lot of Jamaicans at school that I was with. There was, when I was studying fashion design, one of my best friends is Jamaican. And we used to always go and have rice and peas wherever we could. There was always, food somewhere around the place. Always loved the reggae music. There was always house parties. If you knew a Jamaican family, then you'd know that you would have a good party dance at night.
Yeah, good music, good food.
Good food, good music. Yeah. And it was all. I mean, Stoke Newington was, amalgamation of cultures. But for me, what stood out was the Jamaican culture, for sure. And I do miss that. I miss a lot about that.
Yeah. Jamaica's an amazing place. Have you been there?
I've never had the opportunity to go. I will one day.
I think you'll have to. It's just should be on your bucket list.
It must be. Well, I need to go and have a proper rice and peas. I'm known for my rice and peas dish. In fact, my whole family, including my husband, that's his favourite dish on his birthday. But
good on you, Gordon.
Yeah, I'd have to go to Jamaica to
Shout
have a
out to Gordon, by the way. He's listening. If you're listening out there. Listen, just going through your, obviously the beauty side, did you then step out and study? What was your next step in your career?
Well, I got married quite young, and while I was pregnant, I knew that I couldn't run around all these wonderful places and work on my feet, if you like. Mm-hmm. So I thought, IT was big then. If you can get your foot in the IT market in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, then you could make a good career for yourself.
Yeah.
And I guess by all the teachers that have come through my life, they've always said to me, you're really smart. You should really knuckle down. You should really knuckle down and do something, But I never believed them at the time. But I guess they were there in the back of my head somewhere.
Good advice.
So I said, right, okay, so I'm going to go and study IT and keep because I was pregnant, and I was so heavily pregnant by twin girls.
Twins, not just pregnant, but pregnant with twins.
That's right. And, and I was 19 at the time.
Oh, wow.
So I was heavily pregnant. So you can't, and I can't really sit still for long enough. So I said, right, I'm going to go and do an IT course, which was available to me, and I did. And I got this information technology, and I thought, oh, that was good, that was great. Mm. And then I had the twins, and I was at home, but I wasn't home for very long. There were 15 months by the time I went back to work.
Yeah, that must have been difficult to manage, twins.
Yeah. I think that was quite a dark chapter in my life, having
a career.
Trying to find a career after a marriage breakup and things not going great.
Yeah.
But then you sort of pick yourself up. Dust yourself off and start all over again, I guess.
I think people would know, many women would know that story.
Yes.
They've had to deal with it in their own lives.
Yes.
But, you're a survivor.
Yes.
You are.
So, I found myself in an institution again. So I was in a women's refuge, I was in temporary housing, and I thought, I'm going to make this IT stuff work for me. So I managed to get a job for one of the top banks in London, working as an IT support person.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, and I was working as a contractor at the time. So contracting in London was a big thing, and it still is now.
Yeah, right.
So I was able to, but they were also offering you education as well. They were offering you training and education, and that was great. So I was able to get a nanny. I had a beautiful nanny that lived close by. So she looked after the twins, and I went bang straight into work.
But it wasn't the last thing you studied. Where did law come into it all then?
Well, I guess I was fortunate enough to find another fantastic job at a merchant bank. From there, I went to a bigger contract, and I bought my house.
Wow.
Because I was in temporary housing. It was either going back to a council flat with my children or actually finding somewhere better and getting to choose where I want to live.
Yes,
so I moved out of London with my 2 children.
Yep.
So then, doing IT, it was grueling, and I had au pairs, so I was very lucky, and I had beautiful girls from all over Europe, and that had influenced my twins, and so they looked after them while I went to work, and then from there I thought, I want something a bit more solid. I really want something a bit more solid. And education, I guess, has always been in my blood. My father always loved, education. My family were always good. Looking at making sure you work hard at school, which I never did. I just wanted to party. But then it came to a time where I thought, you know what, I really have to work hard.
Yeah, of course. I think we all wake up at one stage or another and think, what have I been doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Wasting my life. Yeah. So you went on to study law in England.
Yes.
You obviously met your current husband at some stage through all of this?
Yeah, we were working in the merchant bank together. The twins were 3 years old by this time. And I was pretty established, pretty happy, and at the time so was he. We were working in the same floor in this bank, and we had lots of friends, and we basically just enjoyed each other's company. We used to go out to lunch, and there were the 3 of us. There was a lovely friend of ours, Paul Hudson, who sadly is no longer with us, and we miss him dreadfully. But we became very, very close-knit, and we still do. We still meet our friends from that era as well.
Oh,
so
that's very cool.
That was really good. So Gordon and I just found each other, I guess.
That's lucky you. That's great. And whose idea was it to come to Australia?
Well, that was his idea.
Smart man. Wow. And turns out that IT happened to be your ticket. Really?
Yeah, I guess for him certainly, and for me, I guess having tertiary education helped as well. So we came here on the point system. We made sure we had everything, all the boxes ticked, if you like.
That was a time when Australia was inviting qualified people to come take residence in Australia.
Yeah.
And I guess IT would have been the forefront.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was. And I guess we were really ready to have a big different change of life, I guess. And Gordon had the opportunity to travel through life before he went to university, and then during university. So he managed to see a lot of the world and always wanted to live in Australia.
Yeah, right.
When I met Gordon, he was a madman because he would cycle 21 kilometres into work, go to the gym, have a swim, do a full day's work, happy, very jolly because he's had this amount of exercise. Then he would get back on his bike and cycle 21 miles back home.
Wow. Incredible. Kilometres in London, surely.
No, we did miles.
You did miles back then,
yes,
right.
we did miles.
Country mile. Yeah, right. Interesting. In excess, you moved to Australia, you end up in the Northern Beaches, and lo and behold, the music you're into happens to be a band that was brought up on the Northern Beaches. Yes, we're talking about In Excess and going to school in Davidson. I think it was Davidson. So obviously you love to dance to that, night clubbing. That was your era, wasn't it?
Yes.
Of the 80s.
Yes.
Changing the subject here, we're going into, you as a person and what you love doing, which is cooking. I believe you're a really good cook. What type of food? Is it traditional? What influences do you have in your cooking?
I guess growing up, I do remember being around a lot of Jamaican mamas, and the house parties that we used to go to. There will always be a lot of food. There will always be a Jamaican mama cooking up with dumplings and jerky chicken.
Jerky chicken is the one I know.
Jerky chicken and Jamaican patties, and So Jamaican was a real cultural influence, and there was fish as well, salt fish and ackee. Wasn't too keen on that, but my girlfriend used to love cooking that.
Bit of a quiet taste.
Quiet taste. In my household, there would be a mixture of Indian food along with Arabic food. So there would be a lot of rice and meat dishes and whatever. So I guess my influence comes from all those. You've got your Jamaican influence, you've got your Indian influence, and you've got your Arabic, Middle Eastern influence. And then, of course, you've got your English influence. So I can't go past, Yorkshire pudding and roast beef. So
Of course, wow.
So, I guess I'm not really restricted to any cuisine, if you like. I mix and match and I really enjoy cooking. I think a lot of people mistake cooking as a chore, whereas I cook because it relaxes me. I find it. And food is love. You actually cook for the people you love. So when I cook, I don't cook for myself. In fact, when you cook, you don't actually taste the food yourself. I always cook for other people.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it.
I think that's why you're well known as being a fabulous cook, because you're always cooking.
My friends tell me so.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful trait to have. And keeps it interesting in life, always pick up a new recipe or what's the flavour of the week.
I investigate my recipes.
Yeah, nice. Now, you run a beauty salon here on the Northern Beaches to help people look and feel their best or look fabulous every day. How long have you been a beauty therapist?
I've been a beauty therapist for over 20 years now. And I studied here on the Northern Beaches in Manly.
Oh, yes.
And
at the TAFE there or something, was it?
Yeah. It was the Peninsula School of Beauty. Great lady who ran it. I still am in contact with her. And the reason why I actually went into beauty was because instead of trying to study law here in Australia, it would have taken me away from my family, because on the Northern Beaches we live in this beautiful environment.
Yes.
It's a gorgeous part of the world, and we don't want to tell too many people about it, but it is a stunning place to live. But it is far.
That's right.
This
used to be the place people took their holidays.
Yes, exactly.
And I can see why, but we're more connected with the city than we imagine.
Yeah, so having 4 kids and then trying to go into the city, one of us could only manage it. So Gordon got the short straw there, so he had to go and work in the city. So I wanted to do something, a bit more local, so I can stay around the children. And having my son, having been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at the age of 8, we all have to stay close by.
Yeah.
So we decided to do something that was going to be interesting, that was going to sort of challenge me a bit more as well. So studying was another way of doing something different. And beauty for me at the time, I thought, well, I can actually do that because it's so important to make people look good. And here I was absolutely shocked by people's skin. And how damaged the sun was.
Yes.
And
a lot of skin is not suited to the
to
climate.
this environment.
Yeah.
So I really got into it then. So I started to study, and in fact I was brought to. Can I say where I work, the salon?
Yes, you can.
So Lamona Beauty Skin Clinic in Mona Vale. So I started there working for for 2 years. I worked 2 days a week for 2 years there, and I grew to love my clients and love what I do. And the lady that owned it prior to me had said, look, you obviously enjoy doing this. Would you consider buying the business? And I thought, gosh, I'm not going to let those clients go. Yes, I'm going to buy the business.
Fantastic.
So I've been there for 16 years.
Wow.
Running Lamona Beauty, and I've had great girls that have come through, and still there.
So I ask, obviously, running a beauty salon, you must know that people want to keep their beauty and their youth into their older years. What sort of advice would you give women who wanted to stay youthful?
Stay out the sun.
There you go.
Sunscreen, hat, find the shade.
Yeah.
Vitamin C, vitamin E. 2 things I've always said to all my clients: if you're going to live on the Northern Beaches, make sure you get vitamin C in the morning, vitamin E at night.
Yes.
And hyaluronic acid-based serums.
So vitamin E, it's funny, they used to sell vitamin E.
Vitamin A. Vitamin A.
I was going to say
vitamin A. Yeah, not
yes.
vitamin E, vitamin A. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So vitamin C in the morning and vitamin A at night, 2-3 times a week. Vitamin A at night
it's
is
good
a
for
must.
your skin.
Yeah, it's a really must, because it's it exfoliates the layers of the skin, and it also helps the lightening and brightening of the skin. So that's what we need to. It's interesting, because one of the doctors that comes and works for me, and when I was in early 40s, I actually said to him, look, I've just started using vitamin A. And he said, oh, you should be using it since you were 6 years old.
Yeah, but children.
Never, not for children.
No,
of course
not. For children,
but,
right.
He was only kidding with me. But yes, so the earlier you can, especially living on the Northern Beaches, the earlier you can get to using vitamin C and vitamin A.
Good advice.
Very beneficial.
Very good advice. Thank you
and
for that.
And stay out the sun.
Thank you. Oh, well, that's too late for me. I'm sorry. Look, looking back in your life's journey and where you are today, would you have done anything differently?
That's a very interesting question, because a lot of people ask me that. And as you probably know, there's a lot of stories that over the past, when you and I and our friends have been together, that have come out. And there are some, there's some heavy going ones, and there's some sad ones, and there are some extraordinarily happy ones. Would I do anything differently? No.
No. Yes. Look, it forms us as people, a character,
Absolutely.
A difficult path it may seem, but look where it's led you.
Well, I've always said I'm a lucky person, but I've also made my own luck.
Yeah. So living in Australia, do you have any regrets?
Yes and no. I miss the UK. I just wish it wasn't so far away.
Yes.
I regret being so far away from my best friend Marcia. Yes. She had an incredible part of my life, and also my daughter with her 3 boys that live in London.
Oh, they moved there.
They moved over there, and I dreadfully wish they were closer. However, I do love living on the Northern Beaches. It is a lovely, lovely spot.
Oh, yes. It's a paradise, isn't it?
It is a paradise. It is a paradise. So the only regret I have, it's just not accessible to Europe.
Yes, it's so far away. I know. Although, airfares are getting cheaper than they were in the 80s. I can't...
Yeah, it's just so long on the plane.
On the plane. How many hours? We're talking 36 or something?
Well, yeah. Well, generally, it's 27 if you take the shortest route.
Yeah, right.
So we need to get that a bit closer. But my friends in Australia are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm very, very fortunate that I have a very good group of
and they think
friends.
the same of you, believe me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Look, we're going to finish up with a song now. It's been fabulous talking with you. This next song is a Bob Marley song, obviously the reggae influence. I know how popular Bob Marley is still to this day in Jamaica. That's all you hear, Bob Marley music.
Yes.
Still
in London too.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Ridley Market still pumps it out.
He's a hero. He's an absolute hero.
So
this next track, No Woman, No Cry, it means something to you, doesn't it?
absolutely, it was a song that growing up in London with all the various different experiences that I've had, just listening to that song makes you feel proud of being a woman as well, because you can get through it no matter what you have.
Yes, if even no woman, no cry. Don't cry. It's all going to be all right.
It's going to be all right.
That's
right. That's the way to be.
That's right. Look, to the gorgeous Nidhal, thank you so much for sharing your amazing life story on Spin the Globe. A real go-getter you are. Talk about a change maker.
Caryn, thank you so much for having me. Really, really appreciate having a chat with you.
Pleasure was mine, darling.
Thank you.
All right. So tune into Radio Northern Beaches 88.7 and 90.3 or live stream on rnb.org.au. Spin the Globe is on every Saturday morning at 9 a.m.
Australia, the lucky country. We've got meat pies. We've got the world's best beer. But most importantly, top of the list, we've got Radio Northern Beaches 88.7, 90.3. Now hitting the entire world on www.rnb.org.au.